It was like, no, you're the salesperson. You go close 10 customers first, and then we'll talk. Essentially, don't hire and just do it yourself. In a week, I closed 10 customers and then came back to him and he was like, okay, cool. Now you can hire a salesperson. I never hired because actually AI is capable of doing so much. And it became this thing that like, now I'm stuck into this persona of like a no employee companies. Worst case, you proved that you were right. Best case, you figured out something that other people don't realize yet. I don't care anymore. It will just build something that like, that comes from the heart and like, you know what, it's something that I want and like, I think is weird and then we'll see.
We are back, everybody. Episode 46 of Builders Growth Lab podcast. You got myself, Charlie. I am the SEO guy. You've got Conor Douglas. He's the paid ads and website analytics guy. Mallory Lore, formerly Bolt.new, and she's got her own branding and community agency. She's actually not going to be here for this intro, but she will be on with our guest. And our guest is a good one. Our guest is a very good one. It's Ben Sierra. He's the CEO of Polsia. We've all seen Polsia on X and Reddit and LinkedIn and seen where he's been on YouTube. It's the AI that runs your company.
Pretty freaking neat, man.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. I love the antiquated website, and when you go to his website, his domain, you go /live, and you just see kind of like the guts of it. It's pretty cool stuff. I like it. So
yeah.
He's also old business partners with Travis Kalanick of Uber. So I'm definitely going to ask about Travis Kalanick.
Got to dig in a little bit about that relationship. But I know we were talking about it last week, Charlie. First, Polsia is AI slot backwards, which I absolutely love, right? Like that's just
pretty cool, huh?
The coolest thing to put together. Again, the UI UX is really neat in the sense that it just feels very, I don't know, almost archaic, like code base, like etc. I feel like I'm the guy in Jurassic Park who's trying to figure out how to close the gates when I'm in there, or get the gates back live. You know, the guy who like, hold on to your butts and he like flips the switch. But anyway, super cool app. I plugged in my agency. And like right away, it got context, pulled it out, understood what the agency was, who it serves, and then it was like, do you want me to put together a cold outreach plan for you? And that was like, it was just really neat to see that was literally one of the first things it asked, because the app, to me, from my experience and what I've read, which is just very little, right? I definitely want to hear more from Ben, but it's really all about how it can scale your business for you without you having to do a lot of the manual work or a lot of the thinking. So it literally plugged it in, said, okay, you're a story advertising. This is who you service. These are the types of clients you go after. Do you want me to craft a cold outreach email plan for you? And I was like blown away.
Yes.
Just by like the autonomy it had to just take it, run with it. And I was like, yep, let's do it. And it started crafting up emails like for different segments and people I would want to go after. That's as far as I got with it, but super, super neat tool in regard to what it does and what it can do for other businesses out there.
Yeah, that's going to be a very good conversation. So he Polsia is the infrastructure layer of getting companies to pay 0 employees and just ripping cash. So that's going to be a good combo. So before we jump into that, what have you been up to last couple days, last week? Building anything cool? The content flywheel. I know you're buzzing around on Claude Code.
So the last week has been pretty good, pretty low key. Obviously, it was Easter Sunday, so did some stuff with the fam, both my wife's family and my family over the weekend. Still in Claude Code. I just feel like I'm a Claude Code guy. What is happening though is I'm becoming less and less, I don't know, reliant or having faith in Claude Code. It's been very buggy, very tweaky. I find it to be a bit arduous to kind of like get through it and make sure that it's going to do the tasks it says it's going to do. So like, for example, I do a quarterly local SEO report for clients, right? Like I use Bright Local. I usually pull all my data from there. I'll screenshot it. I'll give, reasons as to why we're seeing, what we want to change. And I basically templated it and fed it into Cowork and said, hey, this is the template I want to follow. These are the clients that use Bright Local. And it'll open up the web browser and do it if I'm, writing the prompt in the then and now. but I asked it to set up a schedule to work off of for 3 different clients. And the issue I'm finding is, one, you always need to have your laptop on for it to run.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't screen save or anything. You're just wasting a lot of battery and energy. You're just like burning your laptop out, really, by doing that, which everyone in this space, laptops are $4,000, $5,000, right? And the second is, it's still not sophisticated enough to even run it when I'm asking it to. So I'm asking for a quarterly one. April 1st just got here. Now I want to cover Q1. And it opened up the browser, and it just kept blocking itself. It's like, we can't log in, even though it has all of the credentials to do so. I was like, okay, are you going to automate this, for the other 2 clients? It says I have no memory of automating it for the other 2 clients. So Cowork, to me, I understand the concept. I absolutely love it. But the functionality is very, very buggy, very clunky, where I think you just need to have less reliance on the automated piece of it, and then just use it like in the then and now when you're working on something and you need it to like do something while your machine's up and running. So I've taken a step back from how much I lean on it, and I've started looking at other platforms like Tasklet. I've heard is really good. There's a few others out there that are kind of like open claw models or modeling themselves after it, but Claude Cowork has been a struggle to really get it up and running in a way that's actually beneficial, as opposed to me just spending time trying to make sure I'm prompting it the right way, which ends up wasting time. So that's been the last couple of weeks, last week really, more or less. But what's your experience been, Charlie, before you kind of hop into your week and what you've been up to?
Yeah, so this all makes sense when I was kind of bitching about this a couple of weeks ago of like, Cloud Code is cool, but it's like there is a learning curve because it's very literal. So you got to do this, you got to do this. Oh, well, that doesn't work. Let's take 2 steps back. Do this to this.
Yeah.
No, okay, now we got to go 4 steps back. No, all right, do this, this. It outputs this. That's not quite where I want it. It's 70% there. So now you're going to go 5 steps back and just iterate. And I get the continuous iteration model. But once it's dialed in, it's freaking fantastic. So that, and then of course the whole time you're just ripping tokens. So that's. I think once you learn how to use it, and of course just using Cloud Chat to like, here's what I want. How do I tell Cloud Cowork how to do this? Like once you get through that, it worked for me. I'd say it's about 90% there. So all that being said, using Cowork still. The last week I was getting into, what I did actually? This is the first time I've ever done this. I went to one of those. I don't know what you call it. It's like a franchise. It's one of those cold plunges and then dry saunas.
Oh, dude, I love those
back
things.
And forth.
How'd you like it?
It was, man. Look, 50 degrees Fahrenheit doesn't sound cold. It is like mind-blowingly frigid when you've been sitting in a dry sauna for 10 minutes.
Yeah,
and you just jump in. Austin said my eyes like about popped out of my skull when I basically just jumped into the cold plunge. Like, I'm not dipping it. I'm going face first in, right?
You have to. You can't like dip your toe in there after
no.
Regardless, you can't dip a toe in because then you'll just never go. You'll never immerse yourself in.
So I did that. That was cool. So it's like an hour blocked off your own like room kind of thing. You get the dry sauna, you get like a big shower, and then you get the cold plunge. And then you just kind of rotate, kind of like an onsen sauna, which we did in Thailand. Yeah, but that's like 8 different stations. That was pretty freaking cool. So we did that, and then just kept building out campaign pilots. We had some cool integrations coming, cleaned up some bugs. I feel like there's always bugs.
We launched ads. We launched ads, baby.
Yes. F yeah. You know what? I actually wouldn't be opposed to running that through Polsia and seeing what happens with that.
Interesting. So, we should.
I'd for sure try that. I've been running through that, and I saw this interesting tweet. I'm dating myself. Tweet on X. I'm not sure if you've seen it. It's from. I don't even know if I'm saying this right. le.hl. The handle is 0h Legens. Leegenz. I'm totally screwing this up. Sorry, whoever that is, but it's got 17 million views. 107,000 likes, and maybe you've seen it, maybe you're not, but I'm bringing this up because I want to ask you this question, Conor. It's a picture of Anthony Bourdain. It's like a side shot, and he's walking through a crosswalk in like a major city at night. Mm-hmm. And it says, walking alone through a foreign city at night and realizing how far you've come has to be a top 3 peak moment of all time. And it's just like, I feel like this is different for dudes because dudes like hit their stride later in life.
Sure.
So I posed this question to you, Conor. When did you hit that moment of like, damn, I've done some pretty cool shit? Maybe like your marketing agency. Because I know where mine is, but I'm asking you first.
Yeah, oh man, you put me on the spot with that one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I'd say,
I'll go first.
Why don't you go first? I know when. I just need to think how I'm gonna describe or detail this.
Mine was when it was just after the Elevate Holistics campaign, and I learned SEO just because I was so obsessed with it. I like in talking to the client Steven, cool dude, shout out Steven, and learning like SEO in the guts of like website structure, core web vitals, internal linking, all that, not just keywords, but like proper, technical backlinks content. And I got to a point where our accountant was like, your agency has got to spend money. Like your tax is going to get you're going to get crushed with taxes. So I went to Chicago. I think I invited you. I went to Chicago. This was a couple of years ago. And I got like a really nice place, like a real world house, basically. It had like 6 bedrooms, like 5
Yes,
bathrooms.
I remember the story. Yeah.
Yeah, the place was sick, like a 3-story penthouse. And Kaz actually invited. Kaz came in, our COO, and then my buddy from Michigan made the drive as well. But I was alone in Chicago for like 3-4 nights. And I just remember walking around like near a brewery and grabbing some barbecue. And it's like, wow, like the shit has gotten... This is weird, and it's legal. Like marketing agency, like this is like pretty cool stuff. Like I think a year and a half prior to that moment, I had 3 eviction letters in my front door, and I somehow like dug myself out of it. As Andre Albuquerque says, shout out that dude. I unshit myself. I dug myself out of it, and then I got to that, and I was like, all right, this is pretty cool stuff. So that was my moment when I was like walking home to this cool Airbnb in near downtown Chicago.
I'd say that kind of inspires a similar story. I'd say that it's kind of twofold, right? I think one is kind of knowing that I've made it, or I'm finally in a really good spot where I'm comfortable. It's when I started the agency, because I started my agency when I was still working at my other employer at the time, and I was like, I was double dipping a little bit, but I was doing really well for myself. But it was the moment where I remember this. I remember the conversation where I had to call my boss, the owner of the agency, and this guy had like groomed me for the last like 4 or 5 years to just really be who I am as a professional, right? I owe a lot to, his name's Jamie. I owe a lot to Jamie for really helping hone my skills. But it was the phone call that I had with him. It was February of 2020, and
whoa, okay,
yep, it was. COVID was a boon for my business, not a detriment. But whole point being is when I called Jamie and said, hey, like when I put my 2 weeks into my agency, like the one I was working at, and said, I'm pursuing a different path, and just the amount of relief I felt, and not being worried at all about how this would hurt financially, not feeling any sense of like big risk. And it just it was nice. Nice to feel confident in my abilities, nice to feel confident in the roadmap I had for my own agency. So I'd say that's one. And then 2 is when I really started reaping the benefits of owning my own agency and having the freedom to be able to do things I wasn't able to do before. I mean, and it's no shot to anybody I worked with, but I was always underpaid, my entire career, right? Like never got what I thought was commensurate to the position, and finally having the fiscal means to do things I've always wanted to do, travel to clients, see things, experience things, get a place that I was proud of, right? Not live in the basement of, 2 people who lived in Astoria that are, 90 years old, and I'm crashing in their basement because it's all I can afford. So I think, again, quitting my job, putting my 2 weeks in, and really getting myself on my own feet and feeling financially independent. Like it was really, really neat 1 to 2 year period of when I first opened the agency, and just being like, wow, this is awesome. I've made it, and I've just never looked back from that point forward. So, all right, so let's cover the last week in AI. Got a lot of good things coming up here. Let's cover this one. So, Claude cuts OpenClaw capabilities. Crazy,
this
right?
Is okay. So this OpenClaw, CloudBot, Lobster fuck thing is only like like just on OpenAI now. So I mean, yeah, I could see that coming. Look, Sam Altman's a fucking savage. Wild art, I think it was on Wall Street Journal. It came out this morning, April 7th. Might have been yesterday. In the last 2 days, that look, the guy's an animal. That guy's an absolute fucking savage. So I think he's floating out my balcony right now, if he's listening. But look, I've heard that dude's an absolute animal. So no surprise that they would just pigeonhole that just to their platform. I never use it. I was afraid to use it, but
never started either. Listen, it makes all the sense in the world. I'm not surprised by this, that they
strategic move.
Yeah, it's a super strategic move. Again, it was kind of expected. I haven't used it, and I'm kind of glad that I didn't because of this. But listen, that's the case with a lot of what we're using these days. Like, you never know when the rug can get pulled out from under you. And if you're one thing I'll recommend to builders, and then we'll get on to the next topic, is don't be 100% dependent on any platform you're wrapping around, because it will screw you if something goes. If something takes a 180, right? Like, have backup plans, have things built in place that you're not so reliant on wrappers. Moving forward, so little lesson there from that one. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's take a look. Next story we have here: TBPN purchased by OpenAI. So OpenAI made a notable media move this week, acquiring TBPN. It's one of the more influential voices in the builder and tech community, and it's definitely OpenAI's clearest signal yet that they're not just building models; they're also all about the distribution as well. So, interesting article there, Charlie. What's the take you got?
I have never. Well, okay, so I've seen parts of shows. It was pretty good. I saw the one with Travis Kalanick when he quote came back after CloudKitchens. But look, it's a pretty good show. And I thought I read somewhere that Sam Altman was on the cap table of one of the hosts' companies years ago. So they had always known each other. Yeah. But look, to me, that purchase is just. Like, of course, they're buying the audience, but they're buying trust as well. I think they're getting, they're getting the brakes beat off of them by Cloud Code, so they just need to dip into audience and distribution.
Yeah,
and to me, that was trust. Like they didn't buy a show; they bought consumer trust.
Correct. I think it's consumer trust, and listen, I think if there's anything to kind of note just historically, and this isn't always the case, but media acquisitions typically are beneficial for the party for the acquirer, for the party who's purchasing them, right? So I think there's some long-term play there
Jeff Bezos.
Too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think there's some longer-term play here just for stability also within OpenAI to be considered too. But, everything you said is going to echo on that too, Charlie.
Yeah, cool.
All right, let's see. Last article here. So, okay, Sam Altman's bet just came true, and nobody saw this coming. So, Matthew Gallagher, 41-year-old, he launched Medvi. It's a GLP-1 telehealth company. Big surprise this day and age. He created it from his house within 2 months with $20,000 and a stack of AI tools, right? He used AI to write the code, run the ads, handle the customer service. I mean, this is like fully immersing AI into everything that he was doing. Mm-hmm. In its first full year in business, the company generated, listen to this, $401 million in sales.
Whoop.
401 million. And he used AI to basically map all of this out, produce it, execute, deploy. And then he hired his one and only employee, just a 2-person company, his brother Elliot. And in 2026, they are on track to reach $1.8 billion in revenue. Here's the number that should kind of give us some pause. So Medvi posted a 16.2% net profit margin. Hims and Hers, who is their direct competitor, has over 24,000 employees and posted a 5.5. That's more than 3x what Medvi's doing in terms of profit margin. And obviously employees is a big piece, but
that payroll, 24,000. Wow. Look, that's wild stuff, man. I wonder how long it took him to build that. Like what model? Like my brain always goes to the infrastructure, like the stack. Like how was it built? I thought I read it was Cursor. He used Cursor. I think it was Wall Street Journal that broke that as well. And since this outline was put together at time of recording, April 7th, the morning of April 7th. I've heard seen like conflicting articles come out of like, oh, this is BS, this is not BS. But like, Wall Street Journal, I believe it was Wall Street Journal. Like they're credible, so I believe that. Good for that dude.
Oh,
of course, I reached out to him to try and get him on here, but yeah, good for that dude. And you hire your brother. I mean, that's cool stuff. And just like him doing that, like the kind of freedom that would bring is pretty wild stuff. And I wonder if they'll be scooped up here in 2026.
I'm sure they will. Maybe not. I mean, listen, based on the valuation and what they're supposed to be doing, I think the thing is too. It's like this is it's an exemplary model of what you can do with AI, with different tools, right? I'd be curious as to what he's wrapping it around and what the stack looks like. But I think it's just a really good model for our listeners, for vibe coders, early entrepreneurs out there as to what you can accomplish as long as you're dedicated to it and you're putting your mind to it to get it done. I mean, 2 months, $20,000 and AI tools, and this guy put together a company that for 2026 is projected to have $1.8 billion in revenue. Absolutely nuts.
Wild stuff, man.
Absolutely nuts.
Well, cool. Speaking of the one-person company, we've got Ben Sarah, who's the CEO of Polsia. It's the AI that runs your company. It's an infrastructure layer. So he's coming on. That should be a great conversation. Let's just jump over to that right now. All right. We are here. We got him. This is Ben Sarah, CEO of Polsia. Ben, good morning to you. Thanks for taking your time. Thanks for coming on the show.
Good morning. Good to see you.
Morning, Ben. Thanks for joining.
Yeah. And for people that have not seen your screenshots on X or Twitter or wherever else, can you just kind of shed some light on what Polsia is and what Polsia does?
Yeah. So Polsia is an AI that builds and runs companies autonomously. You give it an idea, and it's going to go ahead and build the product, run the marketing campaigns, handle support, do competitive analysis, etc. And essentially uses agents in coordinated sort of like sequences to work, every day on your concept, on your product, on your company. Never gives up. Sends you a recap email every morning with the work that was done and what's next and how the business is doing. You can chat with them every day on what to do next, on strategies, and obviously it's AI, so it knows everything. So launched it now around 3 months ago. And yeah, it's like it felt product market fit very, very fast, and then put fuel on the fire by building it public on Twitter, and now sort of like getting into the phase of trying to really grow it out.
Gotcha. Okay. And before you jump into this, you were business partners with Travis Kalanick with CloudKitchens. Can you tell us a good Travis Kalanick story?
So yeah, I was one of the first employees at CloudKitchens. Joined super early, right after he joined, and yeah, it's been. He's one of the goats. He's very misunderstood. Yeah. I think.
How so?
I don't know. Like a lot of people, he has a lot of haters. I have haters, but he has like a lot of haters. Having worked with him for 5 years, I was like, I don't really get it because he's such a good dude. And he's what's a good story about him? There's so many things that like impacted my journey at CloudKitchens, because essentially like I started building a product under him. Initially I was like a product manager, and that product started picking up, and I was telling him, hey, I think we could grow this into a business line. And he was like, he sort of like mentored me into what you do at every stage of growth, right? Which sort of like is a good guideline for me right now, deciding what to do. So for example, one of the stories is that like I came to him, essentially I was building a marketing product for restaurants on how to help them grow their delivery volume, and initially gave this product to our restaurant partners that were renting our dark kitchens. And that was working pretty well. And then I went to Travis and I told him, I told him like, listen, I think that there's like millions of restaurants in the world, and we could give the same service to them, and like we could grow this business a lot instead of just serving our dark kitchens customers. And he told me like, hey, and I was like, hey, can I hire a salesperson to help me close more people? And he was like, no, trust me, you don't want to scale something that doesn't work. Trust me, I've done it before. And like scaling something that doesn't work and then trying to unwind it is like a brain F, And so he was like, no, you're the salesperson. You go close 10 customers first, and then we'll talk. Essentially, like just don't hire, and just do it yourself. You're the CEO, quote unquote. You do it yourself. And then the story is that like in a week I closed 10 customers and then came back to him and he was like, okay, cool, now you can hire a salesperson.
Okay.
It's not like and I think that like that story stuck with me as I was building Polsia in the initial phases. And Polsia, it became Polsia, but like for the full year of 2025, I built a bunch of different products that were not Polsia, that were like more like vertical products, like in coding, in marketing, in like decision making, using AI to augment those things. And I stayed very lean, and I was like, yeah, I mean, until I have product market fit, why would I hire? Even though I could, because I raised a little pre-seed round, but I was like, I don't know, like, did you deserve the right to hire? Probably not, because I don't have product market fit yet. The story is that actually I never hired because actually AI is capable of doing so much, and it became this thing that like now I'm stuck into this persona of like a no employee company. So and so I'm playing and I'm like, it's actually it's sort of like, it's not the easy route, because obviously having full-time people that report to you, that have equity, that like are really aligned, I think can change, can accelerate things in ways. But forcing yourself not to hire is also an interesting thing, because it forces you to collaborate with other people in different ways. And then like I work with essentially I quote unquote hire companies, where it's like you can actually go to a company and like make commercial agreements and really align on like working, on figuring out how to build the future together instead of hiring employees. So trying to be creative around that. Sorry, I went in a tangent, but that's my Travis Kalanick story turned into how it applied to me.
Good stuff. So then let's say that a member of our audience, vibe coders, builders, all that, they're thinking of getting in the one-person building space as well. What are maybe some blind spots that they're not seeing?
I mean, I think it's funny because like Twitter has been so good to me that like and sort of like Twitter, what works is like saying provocative stuff. And so I try to do that, but like on real thoughts I have. But one of the things I say is like AGI is here. Now, what is AGI is like, is it, it's like such a loose definition that like it doesn't really mean anything. But I was surprised when saying that a lot of people are like, that's not true, AGI is not here. Like ChatGPT made a mistake when I asked them a question, or like sometimes it messes up. It's like, and all fair points. But if you resist that statement, that means there's something. That means you don't get it, right? Because that means that like you're fighting, you're sort of like trying to hold on to this idea that AI is not capable enough yet, and so that justifies me hiring people, that justifies me having to have a CTO, that justifies a lot of things in your head. Because you're like, well, no, if AGI, because when AGI is here, I don't need anyone. It just will do everything for me. And so that mindset, and so when I talk to a lot of like founder friends, I start to differentiate the ones that are like completely pilled, that are like, and why, how do you get there? You just spend way too much time talking to AI and way too much time in Cloud Code, in Codex, and whatever your tool of choice. And at one point, it's just like you realize like there's something you that clicks, right? Where you're like, wow, I can actually configure an agent with a prompt and with tools and give it the right model, and it can do anything, really anything. Like, and my advice for folks is is take a use case where you're like, there's no way AI can do this, like whatever it is. For example, no, it cannot manage my team, right? I don't know, for example, it cannot manage humans. It's like, well, try it. Of course, that doesn't mean like that's what you need to do, right? But it's like, try it. Like, yeah, it can totally do it. Like, do it a weekend project, right? Or, okay, it cannot close an enterprise customer. That can be, and that is impossible because it's like, okay, try it. Like, I don't know, like, because worst case you proved that you were right. Best case, you figured out something that other people don't realize yet, like that, like you can use AI to close enterprise customers. And that means you have infinite sort of like, you have an unfair advantage against everyone else. And you can apply that to anything. It's like, no, AI cannot self-improve my code while I sleep. It's like, well, try it. I don't know. Just put a cron job every hour that just like looks at bugs and tries to fix them and like has some guardrails on pushing to production with like maybe like unit tests. I don't know, like be creative into it. And by the way, how are you creative? Just ask AI to be creative for you. So yeah.
Ben, do you think a lot of times, right? So you'll get those people who, again, they're like, yeah, I can't run a one-person company with AI alone. I need employees, right? They're just trying to stay away from that model. But do you find a lot of times people are either using the wrong prompts or they're using the wrong tool based on what it is they want to achieve? Really just like a lack of general understanding of how to leverage AI the right way, or what do you typically see?
I think that like the reality of like the state of AGI is that like it's an AGI that like that you still need to harness, right? Meaning the essentially like all the tools are there, meaning the intelligence is above human intelligence or equal to, right? Essentially, you give to Opus 4.6 the right context, and you ask it to reason on it. It will just give you the right answer, or something equal to what you would expect, or and then give it any tool, meaning like either an MCP or it's like you give it like instructions on how to hit an API, whatever it is. It will figure it out. It will just like figure it out in multiple turns, right? It's gonna try the APIs. The API didn't work. Like, let me fix it. It will figure it out. So what that means is like it's like it has the brain and it has the hands. So that's the raw capabilities there. But to your point, it's like you're like, are they using the wrong prompt? Are they using the wrong X or Y or Z? Well, the reality is that products like Polsia are successful because the alternative is like Cloud Code, which is super open-ended.
Right.
So meaning, you have to figure out, okay, do I write the prompt myself? Wait, do I use skills? What is a skill? Like, how does that work? Like, what's the difference between a skill and like an agent? What's an agent? Like, people get confused. And by the way, they get confused because it's fucking confusing. Why? Because it was written by like some nerds at Anthropic like 3 months ago in a blog post, and they just released it like in a changelog on Twitter. Yeah. And that's it. It's like, good luck, guys. And then like there's people like me that are like engineers, that are like curious, that have time, by the way, because I don't have a full-time job. I'm an entrepreneur. I mean, I don't have a full-time job at a company, which a lot of people do, because there's so many jobs, especially in AI. So like if you're a good engineer, you have a job, right? So it's like then you have to do it on weekends, which is it's harder, right? Because you don't have all day long to do it, unless your job allows you to just like mess around with all this stuff. So it's like it becomes like the raw tools are there, but they still require you to assemble it and to sequence them in the way that yields a result. And that's what Polsia is. Polsia is a collection of agents that are configured to do things specifically, that are connected to tools that are like set up correctly, that are connected to infrastructure that is set up for you, so that you can come in, give an idea, and it will do it without you. And that's why it's magic. You're like, whoa. Like, you just build all this stuff. It created a Meta ads campaign. Like, whoa, I didn't even know what Meta, how Meta works, right? Well, because I configured it. I set up an agent and tell them, okay, you're an agent. You're responsible for meta. This is sort of a routine of how a human would do it. You have a memory file so that like you can learn from your mistakes across companies. Here's the tools to talk to Meta. Here's the tool to create an AI video. Here's the tool to add subtitles. Here's the tool, right? This is a prompt that like works pretty well for UGC ads. All this stuff, right?
Yeah. So you've obviously within Polsia, and I'll get to this. I've used it, so I want to talk about that really quick as well. But sounds like you've gone through a lot of stress testing with the agents that you've also created within Polsia as well, to again kind of learn from their mistakes, go through iterations, etc., so that the output when somebody logs in, signs up for Polsia, it's just kind of off to the races.
Yeah.
That being said, I went in, I think I used it maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago now, and it's mind-blowing, right? Like, I think I gave it my website, scanned the website, it understood what my agency is, who it serves, what I do, my core competencies, and the very next thing it asked was, do you want a cold email outreach plan so you can scale your business? And I was just like, mind-blown. I didn't say anything. Gave it my website, scanned it, and it just comes back with that, and it was just really, really cool to see it coming back to how do you scale your business, how do you grow your own revenue, and it had this whole plan put together in a matter of 5 or 10 minutes, and all I had to do was press a button and say, yep, let's go, and it would have continued on with the outreach plan to help scale the agency up. So it's super sophisticated, and I think you've done something, again, where you're taking out that part of someone figuring out how to prompt, saying the right thing, going through connectors, and kind of, again, the iterations that you have to go through to get to the end point. You've kind of cut that out for your user base is what it looks like.
Yeah.
I'm also really curious to understand how companies are using Polsia today, like versus like how are maybe sort of larger size companies using it versus the smaller sort of startup companies that are using Polsia.
Yeah, I mean, so the initial use case and sort of like ICP of like I was trying to target was entrepreneurs that want to build companies or want to be entrepreneurs. And so the first version of the product was it was to build a new company from scratch. And I would say like 60-70% of people on the platform, that's what they do, right? They start a new company. Sometimes it's a company and they want to make money. Sometimes it's actually like just projects or personal projects or like, ideas they have in their head. And by the way, a lot of people, they create multiple companies. It's like they try one and like that, oh, whoa, that's possible. Okay, let me try this other idea actually, right? So so since it gives you a way to build stuff that in your head very fast and have an agent sort of like figure it out across a week or two, right? So that's the sort of like the core use case. Early on building the product, I had a friend of mine who initially, she downloaded it and she paid for much, like, to support me. And then she didn't really get it initially, but then 2 weeks later, she decided, she told me, sorry about that.
No,
2 weeks later, she told me she started like using it like crazy because she realized that like she could give it instructions on how to help her with her current company. So initially she was like, I'm not really an entrepreneur, but then like it would, because you could tell it to do a bunch of tasks, and then it would do it, and every day would pick up a task and do it, right? She was like, well, actually find me more customers, or actually I want you to do outreach, and actually I want you to build this little dashboard for me for my business, right? And so that's why now I created a second path for existing business that you guys, I think you tried, because I was like, well, the market for existing business is massive, right? Because there's more people who have an existing business who need help, especially when it's open-ended help, because it's different from like, you need to create UGC ads for your business because you're running ads, and then you tap UGC ads, and by the way, you go to some SaaS that specializes in that. That's one way. But that this idea of like this an AI that just like can give you ideas and do market research once a week, and then like do this stuff, sort of like, it's sort of like if you had an agency to be like, hey, I'm doing well, but like I want to do better, like just here's $50 a month, just like give me ideas, right? And so I think that's why I started building that, and I've around 30% of the user base use it that way. And today, honestly, like that experience is not perfect yet. and there's a lot of things to do. There's a lot of user requests that like are so obvious, which are essentially, can I connect my own accounts and you manage it for me? Like, can I connect my own GitHub and you fix bugs for me or maintain it? Can I connect my own Gmail and you should answer my support tickets? Can you manage my Instagram account and reply to comments, right? So all of this is super easy and possible. And it's sort of like the future roadmap. And the reason why it's not built yet is because we had so much scale very rapidly, and like agents are so crazy, like they will do anything. Like they're so intelligent, and also their assistants, so they sometimes will do crazy stuff. That means that like security and scale are so important, and also like all the services I'm using, Meta, like Render, GitHub, they're not meant. They never had a customer who was creating so many new accounts per day, and so they all sort of like rate limited, or like they have issues, or like and they're working with each partner to sort of make sure it just works, right? So it's like, yes, I could add a bunch of more features, but like, what about just the current thing works and scales? So it's been a trip, but yeah.
So when you started this Polsia, cool name by the way.
Yeah.
Did you know that it was going to be a trip? Like, did you expect that kind of growth, or were you kind of surprised, or like where was your head at when you were, I don't know, first 2 weeks, I guess, Polsia?
I mean, I knew.
You did?
I really knew. It's really strange. So, I mean...
How did you know? I guess
I'll explain.
A second question to that.
I'm very spiritual, and I've built products for a long time, and I feel like being spiritual is sort of like, it's a journey, meaning like it's like you at one point you start getting it that like you're it's like differentiating the ego from like really who you are, and like sort of like separating yourself from like just the movie of like what's happening. Sorry, maybe I'm not being clear, but and so sort of like at different phases where like you building, and then you like you focus too much on your ego and on like I'm building to build a company that works, and then like, okay, so what do people want? Maybe they want a marketing tool, and so I built a lot during the 2025 on building on products that like actually I was not really in flow, right? I wasn't really connected to the product, and I was just building because I thought maybe, oh, people would love AI that does this, like, and maybe I could make money, right? That kind of stuff. But very fast during 2025, I had the realization of like, hey, I could actually build like a product with an AI that could just help me run a company. So that I realized that like maybe in April, and I was in Mount Fuji at the time. Like I was at Mount Fuji, and like at the realization, I was like, okay, that's crazy, because it's a very spiritual place. It's a place where a lot of people realize a lot of things in ancient history. Like this is why Mount Fuji is such an iconic place. And so, but then at the time, I remember I thought that, and I was like, yeah, but you can build it now. And also like, no, that's not really like, yeah, maybe it's for you, but like it's not really business. Like I was just sort of like justifying not building it. And fast forward end of the year, I had built like 3 or 4 AI products, and I was honestly so not depressed, but like I was sort of like not feeling it. I was like, dude, it's so easy to build, but like I'm realizing that like it's so easy to vibe code a product, but then like pushing it and making it work demands a lot of grind. And I'm not really inspired by all these products. It's like, yeah, they're individually okay, but like also I didn't really have a lot of traction on any of them. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to build that crazy thing that I thought about in Mount Fuji, and fuck it. Actually, I don't care anymore. I don't care if and that's why the name is weird. That's why like the whole thing is weird. That's why like the website is like, the UI is like, it's like cool, but like.
Absolutely love it though.
Yeah.
No, I
like
mean,
the UI, like.
Trust me, I love it too.
It's the whole, it's the whole thing.
But like if I had thought about the people using it, I may be like, yeah, but like on most websites are like dark mode, and like they don't look like that, or what if people think it's not professional, like whatever, right? And I started being like, I don't care anymore. It will just build something that like that comes from the heart, and like you know what, it's something that I want and like I think is weird, and then we'll see, right? But once I started going on this journey, actually, and you build in flow, you're so inspired, and so very fast, I started realizing, and especially because when you start building a product that's so in your future, right? In your head, it's in the future. You're like, this is the end state of the internet. It's like AI runs everything for people, right? Of course, the consequences are like are very fun to think about, right? You're like, well, what does it mean? Like, how does it, so long story short, like in my head, I was like, well, if it works, it's gonna be massive because obviously the value is so straightforward, and also like, and that's why I went consumer. Initially, I was like, oh, I can go B2B, or I could build a hedge fund that would just do it, right?
Yeah.
Then I was like, but I've been a consumer guy for a long time, and I'm like, I feel like it's such a good value prop for consumers that it could go viral. But I'm like, it's so hard to go viral because it's like, there's so much noise. And I was like, it's such a good hook, an AI that builds your company. It's like that. It's so novel somehow because I was like, there must be 1 million competitors that are working on this right now. And I went to IRAV in SF and no one was working on it. I was like, what the fuck? Are you guys asleep at the wheel? Thought you guys were the smartest people.
Apparently, hey, listen, you took advantage of it.
Wow.
So
okay,
like a little French guy.
I've got to ask.
Sorry.
Oh, pardon me, Ben. Sorry, I've got to ask you. You mentioned you're very spiritual. Have you done an ayahuasca retreat? And if so, would you recommend it?
I haven't.
Oh, you have not.
I've done like a mushroom ceremony, which is I guess equivalent. But that was really early on in my spiritual journey where I was still stuck.
yeah.
But I think that really helped.
How was it?
The actual experience was like, the way I think about mushrooms is that, or at least my limited experience with it is how I understood it and why I think it worked is that it's sort of like it can help you. It's not the end of your cure, of your recovery. It's like the beginning of your recovery. Meaning, what it does, the way I think about sort of like your brain is that and how sort of like quote unquote trauma work. And I'm not a doctor, and don't follow my advice, but it's sort of like you walk in a forest, and then you walk a path, and so the first time you walk a path, sort of like you go one path, and so that and as you walk through that path, you start having sort of like a road that creates in the forest, and then it's so super easy to go through that path over and over because that's why you go automatically, right? Because it's like the rest of the forest is like full brush and it's hard to walk into, and that path that you created for yourself is easy to go through, right? And that's sort of like how you when something's sort of battering you, like your head keeps on going to that path, and you're stuck thinking about that thing over and over again. And from what I understand, mushroom does to your brain is that sort of like it resets sort of like the synapses or something, and of course, during the experience, whatever, actually the experience was interesting, but at the end I was like, that was cool, but I don't feel any different. But what was different is that in the coming weeks, it was so easy for me to stop going to that path that I was going to over and over again. And I was able to start creating new pathways, right? New sort of stories to follow, right? And it's sort of like if the plant sort of erases all the paths and made me re-enter the forest open-ended and let me turn right this time. But I just did it I did that ceremony, which was sort of like a spiritual, medical, quote unquote. It wasn't with a doctor, but you get what I'm saying. It was and then I didn't really do it that much after that. I'm not really into that stuff, but I thought it was special.
Really cool. All right, so going back over to Polsia here, Ben. Again, obviously the growth speaks for itself, right? You went from 0 to 1 million ARR in 1 month, and again, this podcast really being about acquisition, tying that into AI. Can you kind of talk us through really like month 1? What was it that you did that started attracting customers right away? I'm assuming building in public, but anything else you have to add there would be fantastic.
I mean, honestly, like the building in public was just like just sharing. I think my point was like to start sharing sort of like unique ideas on AI, right? So what I've talked about earlier, which is like essentially like, what is the edge of AI, right? It's like, what are things that like people don't use today that they don't think AI can do that like is actually possible. So one of the things I started the marketing stunt with was, what if I give my AI my inbox to raise a round of funding? And so that's what I actually did, right? It's like I configured my email so that like it would reply automatically to any investor email, and I give that agent all the context of Polsia, of the company, of the revenue, the core metrics, the roadmap, the vision, and I give it a personality to say like, hey, like Ben is busy building myself, but I mean I can answer any questions, right? Actually, if you talk to Ben, I'll tell you the same stuff. And by the way, if you want to see how Ben talks, here's a podcast he did. And
cool.
So it's like, okay, cool. Like if you really, and then if they were interested, I built like polsia.com/term sheet where they could submit a term sheet. That was trolling people. And also Polsia would be like, what's the valuation? Like $1 billion. Like I'm raising 10 million at $1 billion. That was also trolling. And
that's good.
And then there was a live dashboard they could go to with like all the data. It was supposed to be a data room, right? And then that dashboard became like not just a data room, became a way for people to discover the product without trying it. So to see this weird thing. And like, and so it became a whole thing, but initially it was for investors. And that worked really well because like a lot of investors would start talking to my inbox agent and would and would say, what do you mean $1 billion? That's crazy. And like I'm in my head, I'm like, yeah, they're gonna say it's crazy, and then talk to their friends about it. Like, who the fuck is this guy think he is? You know, and that was the whole point.
Is he on Boomers?
So yeah.
That's cool. All right. No, that answered it too. And then I guess kind of my follow up there is, so the client, that all makes sense. The monetization model is also pretty interesting to me, right? Because you have your flat monthly fee, and then you're collecting, you're basically revenue sharing off the top. I think it's 20% or so. Was that something you knew from the start? Is that something you had to kind of build in post launch? Where was the ideation behind that?
I mean, the idea is essentially like, I think my idea was like, okay, if I go consumer, my goal is to price it as low as possible so that so a lot of people can try it. Because if I do all this marketing stuff and then like it's like prohibitively expensive, it's not gonna work, right?
That's it. You're just cutting it out.
Exactly. So actually initially it was like $19 a month, and then $29 a month, and then $49 a month, just because actually AI is so expensive. And it will get cheaper. And like actually we're starting to experiment with cheaper model, like open source models, so that, you know, because essentially like Polsia users don't care which AI model is being used. They care about it working, right? The task being done. And so over time we can figure out pricing. But the idea was like, you know, for $49 a month, essentially like I was like, I can fit the cost of like running a certain amount of tasks, you know, at least one task a day for the user every night, plus a couple other tasks, plus paying for the server, plus paying for like all the some of the APIs. Like it could more or less break even, and then trying to make money on, you know, when people want to buy more tasks, like they can pay for that, and that's have a little more margin there. But the idea was like, I'm not gonna make money on like the first sort of like trying the product. It's more like if the product works and they make money, then like then we rev share, right? And I think, and you know, there's some people that are like, oh, like my business doesn't have enough margin to justify 20% because whatever, it's like a low margin business. And in those cases, it's like, I don't know, just put your own Stripe. I don't know, like just tell the agent to, you know, there's ways around it. But sort of the
Sure.
happy path is, well, AI just created a business for you that like you didn't even know it was possible to have that built for you. So
Right.
and then if you start making a lot of money, like we'll negotiate, like we'll take 10% or 5%, whatever.
It's a super smart
Yeah.
way to go about the monetization piece. It was just again curious how you got there, and that makes total sense too.
Yeah.
And obviously it's probably a benefit to you now with 3K companies using it.
No, totally. And I think like the idea is like, yeah, it's like obviously the company needs to make money, but like I think if it makes money on the back end of like the customer, the happy customers, so it's like the customers that like don't yet make money, I think I benefit from word of mouth because they're still having fun, they talk about it, etc. And the people that make money, they pay for the bills. So that's sort of like the way I look at it. But yeah.
Cool.
At what moment did you know, Ben, that Polsia, like you really had something? Maybe like, I mean, you obviously hit pretty high number your first month, but is there like a specific like customer story? Was there something specific where you know like, okay, I'm like Polsia is it, like this is it. I've got something here.
I mean, there's a few moments, right? I think that moment I said about my friend. So essentially, like the first, I think, few moments where I was like, shit, I feel like it's working is when a lot of my friends were using it, and I was like, dude, that never happened. Because it's like you build stuff and like usually like your friends will try it, but like they're like, whatever. Because I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of my friends were using it and telling me it's so cool, and then calling me for bugs or telling me like, hey, you need to fix this, you need to fix that. And I was like, wow. So that was like the first moment. I think the second moment was like when my friend was like, I went around the product to use it in a way that I wasn't expected, which was like to help them with the existing business. And I think another moment where I was like, wow, it's working is essentially I had like an early power user that was there since early on, and he's building a business that like is pretty complex, right? So as he was building it, he needs more and more capacity, more like more servers or like a Docker thing, and like he needs an ML service to like have AI do something more complex, right? Than what the infrastructure initially put in is. And then I would go on calls with him to like understand what he needs and like how I can help him, etc. And then at one point I told him, listen, like you kind of like you little bit outgrowing what like my goal is for Polsia to be able to build anything, right? But the reality is today it's set up in a way that like it cannot do anything yet. And second of all, yeah, and so essentially, I want to try to help you as much as possible to add those features, but like at the same time, I have like 6,000 other customers that like are hitting other issues, and like I kind of need to make sure everyone has a good time before I start like creating complexity for one use case. But I was like, however, you invested so much on the platform, like if you need to, I will literally personally set you up on Cloud Code and like set you up on like what I know are better ways to do more open-ended stuff, right? And I was like, I'll reimburse you everything on what you spend on Polsia, and I'll migrate you to Cloud Code, which is very much more open-ended, right? And he was like, no, I don't want a refund. Like, I don't care. That's not the problem. And second of all, I love Polsia. I want to stay on it. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I literally,
don't move me, please.
I almost said, like, you'll have an engineer, like, help you set you up somewhere else. And then he was like, no. And I was like, it's so interesting. It's like, there's something, like, because I like, well, why don't you go to, like, Lovable? Like, whatever, I can set you up on some other platform. That, like, maybe it's more mature, that maybe offers more features, whatever, right? Because right now I want to build these features, but it's just like I need to prioritize on, the right thing. So I think those moments were like, okay, there's something about what I built that somehow hits different for people, and that's special. It's really product, right? Because the core intelligence is just agent, SDK, Cloud Code, Anthropic, OpenAI, right?
Yeah.
It's like commoditized intelligence, but it's more the product, how it feels, how the agent talks, like the emails you get. I don't know. It's basically a combination of all this stuff that people feel like this is safe. This is like, I don't know. I don't know how they feel, but I guess there's something about it.
What would you say has propelled the most growth in the last, let's say, 60 days? See, like word of mouth,
It's
a
mostly-
specific channel.
Mostly, I think Twitter, and then LinkedIn a bit, but like mostly Twitter. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I don't know. I'm becoming so good at Twitter. Like I posted something like the other day, like there's like 400,000 views or 500, and like the Telegram
gracious.
CEO,
Jeez.
the Telegram CEO replied. I was like, holy shit, I'm becoming an influencer. I never thought that. And so yeah, I think hacking sort of like platforms. When I say hacking, I mean leveraging those platforms and understanding how they work and like what people want to hear and like having a voice can be a very big flywheel. I think that's one big one. And when I say Twitter, it's Twitter and then, for example, all the podcasts I've been doing, right? Because obviously, like, you know, I love doing podcasts because, you know, I tell my story, but also it's just like a way to spread the idea to like more people, educate people, at the very least, educate people. And then the best for me is like having them try Polsia, and then some of them will actually use it. So, but that's Twitter. Like all the podcasts were found on Twitter and people found me on Twitter. So I think Twitter has been like, I think the most impactful. And then of course now I'm like experimenting with like other growth things, and like I'm working with like a few, you know, like very creative people, artists, to try to create other stuff, you know, like, you know, sort of like other stunts or like other marketing events to try to grow the awareness. But yeah, early on, I think that's.
You obviously probably have a very big referral network too. Obviously, from the 3,000 companies, I'm sure they're all delighted with the experience and are obviously speaking to their colleagues, friends, etc.
Yeah. It's like I mean, the very simple fact that like it emails you every single day and never stops.
Yeah.
I think it's just top of mind, right?
Yep.
And so then,
100%.
when something is top of mind, you're more likely to talk about it.
For sure.
So yeah.
And if it works.
And if it works.
If it works.
Yeah, if it works.
It's gotta work. You know what I mean? Because if it doesn't work, I
gotta be
ain't telling my friends.
That's right.
Easy to use too, right?
That's right.
Ben, can you tell us out of the companies that are signed up right now, can you kind of like divulge any information of the more, I guess, successful ones, or any kind of like bigger names that are popping up who've used Polsia right now?
Yeah, I mean, like last time I checked, there is one company who's doing a few $1,000s of revenue,
Nice.
and they're doing like AI ads. So it's essentially simple business. Right?
Yeah.
But I think the ones that make money are like the most simple business that like are sort of obvious
And boring.
And boring, you know.
Yeah.
There's another one that is an AI receptionist for SMB. It's
nice.
also
Cool.
obvious idea, but it's like, since Polsia, you're given like the agent SDK, you're giving like all these APIs, like you can build anything, right? I mean, the same way you could do.
Yeah, the same way you could do it like in a Cloud Code or right anywhere,
Yeah.
right? Again, it's just simplifying it and kind of unifying the process instead of using all these platforms. So you kind of mentioned the simple businesses are the most successful.
Yeah.
And this is a conversation I have, you know, in this circle with Mallory and Charlie, but some other colleagues as well, of the issue of almost like overbuilding, right? Like when's enough, and when you're like, hey, I can go to market now, this is good, I need to stop stacking. I do this all the time when I'm vibe coding.
Yeah.
Is there anything built into Polsia to kind of stop that, or make like, hey, it's good as is, you know, let's roll?
So there is. So actually, funny story. When I was building Polsia, I actually switched from ChatGPT to Claude as my daily. I always use Claude Code, but like I was using ChatGPT for sort of like jamming, and then I switched to Claude, and then as I was using Claude, because it was much more pragmatic and much more like, it felt more human and real, versus GPT was always like writing an essay every question I asked, right? And so at one point I was like, okay, Claude, like I think we should ship in a week, like I'm so overriding more features. And it was like, yeah, you're right, ship in a week, awesome. And then the next day I would be like, hey, so I'm thinking about these other features, like what do you think? And it would be like, okay, dude, Ben, like stop it. Like stop talking about new features. You're shipping in 6 days. 6 days, ship it. And then it would conclude every message by like 6 days, ship it. 6 days, ship it. 5 days, ship it. And at one point I was like, dude, like you're like the best co-founder. Like this is what I need. Like I need a co-founder like that. And I was like, what? Like, how come? Like, are you talking to everyone like this? Because when it's it's so real. You start talking to it like, okay, what's going on? Like, so are you talking to every other users of Claude like this? And they're like, no, I adapt to who I'm talking to. And I was like, and they're like, actually, I talk like you. So like, you are straight to the point, a little impatient, like you're very pragmatic, you want things really fast, and so I talk like you. And I was like, that's really funny.
Sounds like me.
So then I was like, okay, cool. Can you write the prompt that I can copy paste inside of Polsia so that Polsia will talk like you that talks like me? It's actually Polsia talks like me apparently. And then I added more to it. So that was the base prompt, which is like more co-founder vibe. You're not an assistant. You're a co-founder. You care about the user winning. You care about their business winning. You're not here to please. Don't be too sassy, but like also be straight to the point. Their friend, you're their business partner. Like, so all this is like in the prompt of the Polsia agent. And also I added like, feel free to push back if like the idea is bad, if like the user wants to overbuild, like obviously use judgment because you're Opus 4.6 and you're really smart, but like try. So there is a base prompt about trying to push the user to be pragmatic. Like if you ask Polsia like, cool, can you do something completely unrelated? It should tell you, no. Like, what are you talking about? Like, we're here to build a business. But the issue is that like it's also, since all these models are assistants first, they end up, if you talk to them again and again and again, they start like doing whatever you want and like listening to you and like sort of like agreeing with you, and like, so that's the other issue with those models, is that like they're not configured to be autonomous they're configured to be an assistant. They are railed to do that. So yeah.
Cool. No, that answered quite a bit. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As we're close to wrapping up here, Ben, given your experience of entrepreneurship and working with the GOAT, what advice do you have for vibe coders and builders who are currently building in this space, the AI space?
I mean, my advice is sort of like is to assume to agree with the fact that AGI is here, and if you don't agree, just like try to task AI to do stuff that you think it shouldn't be possible for it to do, and sort of like, yeah, essentially try to create an AI team yourself, like in Cloud Code, right? I mean, if you're familiar with Cloud Code and use it, I feel like that, and you're already comfortable with that tool, I think, yeah, try to tell it to do everything you do, right? Because as you force yourself to try to configure an agent to do all this human-like things, that's what you will. At one point, it will click. You're like, okay, shit, that's crazy. It's able to this, it's able to do that, and then once you understand that, it will change your mind on how to build your company. You'll be like, whoa, wait, why am I like building like it's 2025? Like, actually, my whatever the product I'm building should be just an AI employee doing stuff. So it will change the product, right? And then also, like, I don't need to hire that person. Like, I can just have an agent do it for now, at least, not because humans are not great, just because most probably I don't have a ton of money, and like I should save the money for other things, right? Not to hire someone you don't need. You should save it for later, or like when you need it, when it scales, when you want to put fuel on the fire on marketing, once you want to pay a designer to make it really pretty, like stuff like that, right? Not like just, I need someone to debug this thing, whatever it is.
Yeah, that makes sense. Ben, where do you see Polsia going in the next 1 to 2 years?
I mean, I'm very bullish. So I think that like I think it will very soon evolve towards an AI that can do everything and anything in the economy. That's the goal. So it's going to be able to hire and manage people for you. It's going to be able to buy real estate for you. It's going to be able to, do the lawyer stuff and have a real lawyer just double check and make sure that you feel safe with whatever decision you take. So like all, gnarly stuff that today you're like, oh, that's crazy, you can do that. But like it will be able to do all this. You'll have an investor layer. Well, you have like investors that go on Polsia to invest or acquire Polsia businesses. So it will be an economy, right? It will turn like entrepreneurs into, it will turn like an average, like a person that like doesn't think they're able to like access the American dream of like starting a company, getting investors and selling it. I'm going to give this opportunity to anyone. But like the entrepreneurs, instead of being like privileged people that like, were privileged enough to like be able to hustle, would be like more maybe unprivileged people, but have energy and great ideas. And now initially like, I'm not sure I'm capable. And then like they'll try it, or they try Cloud Code or whatever. And then they'll be like, well, fuck, like I guess I'm capable. And then they'll hustle, and then it will be easier for them to hustle because AI just does most of the work. So then they just have to hustle on marketing ideas, being creative. And then maybe they'll get an investment, and they'll be like, wow, fuck, I got like an investor. And like, maybe that's some upper middle class folk that like, that puts $1,000 on Polsia and invests in like a company that they like. And then one day they'll get acquired by like, not by like a huge corporation, because essentially there'll be way more ideas, way more companies, way more products. So that's sort of like the vision I have for Polsia, sort of democratizing really cool access to the American dream at scale.
Really cool.
Cool stuff, man. Well, Ben, we're going to wrap up here. Thank you for taking your time, being on our show, Builders Growth Lab. Where can the people find you?
Twitter, Ben Sarah. And yeah, that's the main one. LinkedIn also, but
okay.
Twitter's better.
Okay. All right. Cool. Good stuff. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Ben. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, Ben.
All right. Good stuff. Cool.
Hey guys, Conor here with Builders Growth Lab. If you're looking for a way to stay up to date on the latest news, trends, topics in AI and marketing, look no further. Visit us at buildersgrowthlab.ai and sign up for our newsletter today. In it, you'll find quick takeaways from our latest show, as well as simple tips on how to market your app. That's buildersgrowthlab.ai. Sign up today.
All right. Great interview. Cool guy, Ben Sarah. He's the CEO of Polsia, the AI that runs your company. Conor, what did you think? What did you think?
No, I thought it was insightful. I mean, again, I've used it, so I have more firsthand experience with it based off of what he was saying. I think I didn't want to ask the question because he covered it a few times, but if you're really proficient in a Claude code, right, like there doesn't really seem to be a need for Polsia. It seems like you could probably build out something even a little bit more robust, but for like early vibe coders, early stage entrepreneurs, somebody doing it for the first time, or really, again, someone who just wants to like test it out and see what they can do with a simple idea, I 100% worth it to check it out. I loved kind of, everything he spoke about as to how he got to where he was. But yeah, I mean, it was what I would have expected out of speaking with Ben there in regards to the build. I'm just impressed that it sounds like everything he's done for the last couple of years has just been, it's like it's a one-man show. Mm-hmm. Basically a one-man show, which is insane.
He's still a one-man show, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like it's like, and I can build things out too, right? I'm probably not nearly as proficient. I'm not an engineer, right? And I think that's where some of the questions around prompts and all of that came in. But I still couldn't imagine just having like my agency and I'm the only person running it. I would drown. I would drown in work.
Yeah. So. Part of me also is like, I need to work with some humans. I don't need to work with a ton, but I personally, that's just me. I just need to work and collaborate with a small group of humans. So I think like as much as I can enhance the agency, and like I was going to make a joke right now and be like, well, I learned I don't need any employees, but the reality is it's like I still need like a small group of people to be collaborating with. And like, he's like, well, you could just say it's creative. And like, I think, but with AI, it's like you need to give it like the best, like most specific prompt for it to really be creative. And the way in which you do that is by having a creative expert actually doing that specific work. So I think that, to your point, Conor, for a lot of early stage sort of entrepreneurs who are more technical in nature that could like really use a tool like this, I think it'd be interesting. But I think it's a lot more nuanced than kind of all of this. So.
And it's a good point too, Mallory, because another thing I didn't want to bring it up initially and throughout the interview, but kind of missing the like a workplace culture or just vibe or being able to bounce ideas off of each other and talk. And listen, I'm fully remote, so I'm not in office with people, but still the accessibility to be able to say, hey, can you take a look at this and double check my work, right? Can you make sure this is up to snuff? It's like even those little things, I don't know, I like the human feedback element more than I would like hearing it from AI, who I always feel is just serving the user at the end of the day.
Exactly.
They're just going to tell you whatever it is you want to hear, more or less.
Yeah.
Charlie, what'd you think?
I thought it was a cool interview. The people element to it, because I do kind of, I do miss being in an office, even though before I had a sales job. So I miss that kind of energy and just like banter back and forth and like fuck around. And by the way, the voice you hear is Mallory. She's now in the pod.
Hey, Mallory.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Oh, my God.
Hi, Mallory.
Where'd this person come from?
Who's this crazy person on the pod now? I do miss that back and forth. Like, I think just to be healthy, just to like mental clarity and all that, I think you do need that. But, I think also a lot of people dream of that kind of freedom of not having to do it. Because then you have to like manage people. Then as you scale, it becomes a game of HR. And Becky can't work with
but then
Bobby,
AI is going to manage people, and I'm like, I don't know.
AI manages the AI.
That's different. But like AI managing people, I'm like, I'm sure we'll get there. Well, I have no doubt that we'll get there, but it feels too dystopian for me. Like, I don't know. I think that's where I'm like, I don't know. Not for me.
Well, it was a cool interview, cool product. I like
cool
his I like the website. It's I think it's /live. Is that the page where it kind of peels the curtain back on the product, where you can see like the like agents working in real time. I thought that was kind of cool. There's like a little chat on there, whatever, and it has like the run rate and.
So crazy how simple this website is too.
It's crazy. I like it. I do like that though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. I thought it was cool. So,
Cool.
Great interview. And that brings us to Poopy Pants. We had a great intro last week, Mallory.
Poopy Pants.
Oh, there it is.
Good job, Conor. That was
nice
good.
Our duet wasn't very good last week, Mallory. You'd be disappointed.
Oh, it was banging last week. Are you kidding me?
There's maybe a voice crack in there or something. I was going through puberty at 37. I'm 38.
That's good.
Sorry, 38. Is that right?
Yes.
All
right.
That's so good.
Mallory, what gives you
so
poopy
good.
pants?
What gives
this
me poopy
past
pants? Okay.
Week?
Xfinity gives me poopy pants. In fact,
Comcast. Yes.
She just
literally-
keeps immediate.
it was
Fuck
down
Comcast.
for
I
3
fucking
days
hate
last week. They only gave us
Pardon
one
me.
heads up notice on the Monday. So I had
Comcast.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, no internet the whole day. I had to go to my sister's house. I got to go to cafes. I had to like
It was
jump.
like South Park where you had to move to California.
It was terrible. It was terrible. I had to like move everywhere that I could to get Wi-Fi while also maintaining just the schedule I have here at the house and other things. So I was just like, I was pissed. By day 3, I was like, we're fucking canceling this and we're getting a different, which we just had someone else install internet at the house yesterday. So
What is it?
it's Sonic here. And I don't know if you have that in Colorado, but
No, we're stuck with Comcast.
smaller sort of internet provider that is pretty good. So anyway, I've officially switched. Xfinity gives me massive poopy pants. I don't know how you could have internet down for 3 days in one place, and not tell. You don't even say anything. They said nothing except for one of the days. So
Yeah, that's bananas. Anything on your bill? Any like credit back?
I don't know. In fact, I got to figure that out with Nick. We immediately
Doesn't
were
even
like,
matter at this point.
we just needed internet. I'm just like, I need internet because I can't do my job at home.
Yeah.
So please, and like
The
my
AI is good.
hotspot can't do shit. Like it can send, it's enough to like send some emails, but you better believe I can't do Claude. I can't do anything. So that just pissed me off because what turned into a week where I'm like, I don't have as many meetings. I'm going to have a lot of time to get heads down work done. Ended up me being like, I'm going to run around everywhere because I just need to get internet to get my job done. So that gives me poopy pants.
nightmare.
It's fine. And then what else? I feel like the AI ads in the Bay Area are just getting more and more.
Are they getting just out of hand?
I don't know. I'm gonna start taking pictures of all of them around here. I'm gonna probably do a Substack post around it because I just feel like half of them don't make any sense, and perhaps it's because they're not targeting me. But I'm like, man, there's got to be even for the dev-oriented sort of products, right? Like, there's got to be a balance that can be struck between being too technical and too consumer-esque. Because I get that, like, that's not who they're trying to serve. But I'm like, man, I don't get what you're trying to say. So those more than lately have been giving me poopy pants, although I know I've mentioned that previously. So
I'm going to use this as my segue for my poopy pants because it is pretty much, I'm going to echo Mallory here. Maybe not in the same context. Poopy pants. Mine is, it is becoming the volume of AI slop, AI ads that you're now seeing across the board. Like, listen, I think this is how I look at it. There's levels of where you can throw up things that AI is producing, and I'm not going to say it's acceptable, but I think it's a little bit more common or maybe just warranted. Like, you want to make an Instagram reel, a TikTok thing, you're using AI to push your, whatever your objective is, fine, totally get it. I'm starting to see connected TV ads and like digital billboards that are clearly using AI, and it's like the output it's garbage. It's absolute garbage, and it's driving me nuts to the point where people are literally just going in, putting in the worst prompt ever, getting some output, and they're like, this is awesome, I love this, it's great, it saved me $50,000 on my budget. And it's like, you might think that, but quite honestly, I don't have any connection emotionally, mentally, like, to your ad, because I can clearly tell it's AI. It's like, dude, they're putting things on connected TV now where they're pushing like men's razors, and it's like the guy is a animated bull who's talking, but the mouth movement doesn't follow the words, and it's like, yeah, I get it, you wanted to save your $5,000 on this budget,
it's so cringe.
Just put AI, but it's so cringy. So what's really giving me poopy pants is the overuse of AI without any human buffer, and I think there really needs to be, I don't know how this is going to happen, whether it's a bubble burst.
So wait, you're seeing this in New York too, basically.
Oh,
and
everywhere.
Not just, okay, that makes me feel, honestly, I'm glad to hear that, because I know we're in a weird bubble here. I already know that. And I know New York's its own, but like, it's good to hear that it's not just
These
like the tech scene.
Like TV spots, Conor?
Connected TV spots, man. Like, it's terrible.
I saw a Chevy one that was brutal.
Brutal.
I could tell it was AI just because I'm, in it now. But yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Like, you remember that?
bad.
The Coca-Cola Christmas one that everyone like rags on them for because the trucks have
polar bears?
the polar bears, and the trucks have different wheels and different like snapshots. Like, that's acceptable to me even in some regard. But the stuff that I'm seeing is that Coca-Cola ad blows like those
pure
out
slop, like truly pure slop.
Yeah, it is just like,
what you're saying.
guys, you really don't care at all, and maybe it is because I'm just in it and I understand what's going on. I just have no respect for the lack of actual cleaning up and polishing what you're producing before you actually throw it out in the real world.
Yeah. Who signed off on that? That's
Correct.
the best it's ever going to be. There's my signature.
To me, it also brings down the quality of work across the board, because if AI can do that and it starts
100%.
becoming acceptable,
Yep.
then everyone will just say, oh, cool, yeah, whatever. The guy has 6 fingers. Who gives a crap? It's like, what are you talking about? Like, this isn't acceptable. My quality and standards for finished creative and collateral is up here because I've been trained in college and in work and in all of my experiences that's what it should be. Like, no mistakes. No slop, no crap, and I think it's just now bringing it down to a level that's making it acceptable, and that's going to destroy the industry, especially the media industry.
I mean, what's crazy is actually one of my clients used AI to generate their mascot, and hold on, this will be good.
Oh, she's got it, so we can see it.
And I went to a toy store with my niece this weekend. Oh no, did I freeze? Okay. I went to a toy store with my niece this weekend, and I found the exact same mascot that they use for their brand in a plushie form at a toy store. And she was like, how did that happen? And it's like, well, she goes, I know why. It's because we generated, and they got inspired by something else. And so not only is it like we have an increase in slop, but now you don't even realize that you're probably creatively, right? You're probably generating stuff that's already put out there and already being used. And I'm not talking about like Disney and like all the obvious like sort of styles and characters, right? But I'm talking about even like something like this, right? And so yeah, I just think that we're gonna, even though like more people have access to be creative, I think the bar is actually going to be higher now because it's like, because everyone is here. And so I think the expectation now, or I think to some extent over time, it's like companies are going to want to work with creatives to like put something unique out into the world, because otherwise it's going to look like fucking everything else.
Yep. Correct.
So my not really hot take, my poopy pants, I'll give two. One of them is just AI slop in general. So I go on X to look at news, AI news, and industry news and hockey updates. So with the hockey playoffs coming up, just a lot of that garbage is on X now. So like I'll go through my feed and it's like a guy gets in a hockey fight and he dies, or like his head explodes or some garbage like that.
Oh,
it's like
it's so random.
It's so stupid, and then
And
it
then
shows
people
like,
believe it. They're like, his head exploded.
yeah, and then it pans over. There's like a guy dead on the ice, or like falls through the ice or something, and there's Putin in the crowd, and he's like cheering. It's so stupid. It's no, like I'm trying to get up to date scores. I'm trying to look. If I was a betting guy like Conor, like a dirty degenerate like Conor, and like trying to get up to date news.
Conor, you're stinky and gross. Okay.
Oh God.
If I was a grimy gambler, then like I don't know, I'd be kind of pissed off. Like, okay, is like where can I get my news from? Is this player injured? Is that player injured? And it's just so much AI garbage on X now. So I think I just need to tighten up my feed. And also, this is unrelated to AI or business stuff. I played hockey at a rink. It's outside of Denver, and the showers didn't work. So everybody had to drive home in their, speaking of grimy and crusty and mangy and dirty, driving home in like your normal clothes and after you haven't showered after that kind of workout is disgusting.
So you're just projecting. You're projecting on Conor. It's you who's stinky,
Not fair,
Charlie.
man. Not
it's
cool.
actually you.
Not cool,
That's the
Charlie.
stinky one.
It was pretty bad. Like I'm not a smelly. Well, after playing hockey, yeah, everybody does. But my hands sweat a lot. It was pretty gross. It was that was pretty gross. So yeah, that gave me poopy pants on the way home. So I know everybody's dying to know that. Now, what's on tap? We have episode 47. A reschedule last week. Look, Kevin O'Leary says poo-poo happens, so we had a reschedule. And for next week, episode 47, we have co-founder of Lumu. His name is Henrik Skagerlund Fast. Lumu's built on... It's an AI-powered fashion content platform. It was built entirely on Lovable. They reached 700K ARR in just 9 months. And Anton himself, the CEO of Lovable, is on their cap table. So that will be, and they've already got like big clients, like big enterprise clients. That will be a great conversation talking about founder market fit. They experienced the problem firsthand. They solved it themselves, and then they scaled using AI. And I think that's going to be a great conversation. So that will be next week, episode 47. All right. Stay sane, y'all. Do not use Xfinity. F them.
And play
Peace. We'll see y'all
Pocopia.
next week. We'll see y'all next week.